Hello, today I will start your lecture 7 on your course on kinematics and theory of machines. Today I will discuss about the inversion, kinematic inversions, and particularly about the inversion of a 4-bar slider crank. So I will discuss about particularly about the 4 inversions of a single slider crank mechanism. So now what is also this lecture will be the last on the module 1. Today I will complete the module 1 of your syllabus. Now what is inversion? Now before that you already know about what is a mechanism. So here something is given in brief about mechanism. We have already discussed about it in our previous classes, that when one of the links is fixed in a kinematic chain, it is called a mechanism. So now we can obtain as many mechanisms as there are the number of links in a kinematic chain by fixing in turn the different links in a kinematic chain. Now this method of obtaining different mechanisms by fixing the different links in a kinematic chain is known as the inversion of a mechanism. So we will fix one of the links at a time. So in a 4-bar chain we'll fix 4 links at a time and we'll get 4 inversions. Now there are the type of inversions may be divided into 3 types. Now before that it must be noted that the relative motion between the various links are not changed through this process of inversion. Okay, the relative motion between the links is not changed in this inversion, by this inversion, but their absolute motion, that means those measured with respect to the fixed link, the grounded link, may be changed drastically. So mainly there are the inversions of 3 types. Okay, the 4-bar chain, the single slider crank chain, and the double slider crank chain. In this lecture we will mainly discuss about the inversions of the single slider crank chain. Okay, but before that let me briefly discuss about the 4-bar chain, the inversions of a 4-bar chain. So this 4-bar chain, as you can see, this is the simplest and the basic kinematic chain, or it can also be known as the quadric cycle chain. It consists of actually 4 links, each of which forms a turning pair. Now these 4 links may be of different lengths, and according to Grasshopp's law, the sum of the shortest and the longest link lengths should not be greater than the sum of the remaining 2 lengths if there is to be a continuous relative motion between the 2 links. And a very important consideration in designing a mechanism is to ensure that the input crank makes a complete revolution with the other links. So in a 4-bar chain, one of the links, which is particularly the shortest link, will make a complete revolution relative to the other 3 links. Okay, if it is to satisfy the Grasshopp's law. Now such a link which makes a complete revolution is known as the crank. I have already discussed in the previous lectures. Now we will briefly discuss about the inversions of a 4-bar chain. Look over here. I have drawn this diagram of a 4-bar chain. Now this 4-bar chain, as you can see, it has total of 4 turning pairs between 1 and 2, 2 and 3, 3 and 4, and 4 and 1. So there are 4 turning pairs, and the links which I have numbered as 1, 2, 3 and 4. There are 4 links. Now I will fix a link. I will fix this link 1 to the ground. Now if we rotate this link 2, if we rotate, now this link is connected to link 3 by turning pair, so it will in turn try to rotate the link 3, and which in turn will rotate link 4. So here, so this is a 4-bar chain. This is an example of a 4-bar chain. Okay, where we can, when we rotate a link, it will also rotate the other link, where one of the links is fixed. So this is an example of a coupling rod of a locomotive, the wheels of a locomotive. Also it is known as the double crank mechanism, which consists of 4 links. So in this mechanism, this link 2 and 4, they act as cranks and are connected to the respective wheels. And the link 3, as you can see, the link 3 acts as a coupling rod, and one of the links is and the other link, that is the first link, is fixed in order to maintain a constant center to center distance between them. So this is an example of a locomotive wheel, and this mechanism is meant for transmitting rotary motion from one wheel to the other wheel. So this type of mechanism is also there in a bicycle, where we provide rotary motion to the rear wheel, and it is being transmitted to the front wheel by means of a chain. Okay, so this is one of the inversion of a 4-bar chain. So we will come to the next example. As you can see over here, chevron. So this is a figure of a diagram of a beam engine, which is also known as the crank and lever mechanism, which consists of 4 links as shown in the figure. So in this mechanism, when the crank rotates about the fixed center, so when this crank rotates about the center, the lever oscillates about the fixed center D. So the lever oscillates about this fixed center, and the other end of the lever is connected to the piston rod, which reciprocates due to the rotation of the crank. So rotary motion is being transferred into reciprocating motion. Rotary motion is transferred into reciprocating motion. So the purpose of this mechanism is to convert the rotary motion into reciprocating motion. Rotary motion converted to reciprocating motion. Okay, so this is an example of a crank and lever mechanism, or the beam engine mechanism. Okay, next we come to the inversions of a single slider crank chain. Single slider crank chain. So now we will see about the single slider crank chain. Now the single slider crank chain is a modification of the 4-bar chain. It consists of a one sliding pair and 3 turning pairs. You can see in this diagram there are 3 turning pairs, 1, 2, 3, and 1 is this sliding pair. Now this is generally found in the engine mechanism, steam engine mechanism, and its purpose is to convert the rotary motion into reciprocating motion and vice versa. Now we'll see about the first inversion of this 4-bar, this slider crank mechanism chain, the single slider crank chain. So in the first inversion, so the first inversion, you can see in the first inversion what we have done is that we have fixed a link. We have fixed the cylinder. We have fixed the cylinder or the link 4, the sliding pair. So we have fixed the link 4, the cylinder, and in this case, when the link 2 rotates, this link, when the link 2 rotates, the connecting rod, that is the link 3, oscillates about a pin which is pivoted to the fixed link. And the piston attached to the piston rod, it reciprocates. So piston, it reciprocates. So here the rotary motion of the crank is being transferred to the reciprocating motion of the piston. Okay, so the input is the rotary motion and the output we get is reciprocating motion. Now when we fixed the piston, when we fix the cylinder, and the piston reciprocates, and it is converted to the rotary motion of a crank, as is happens in our bikes and scooters. Okay, what we do is that after burning the fuel, it reciprocates a piston, and that motion, that reciprocating motion, is being transferred to a crankshaft, to a crank by means of a connecting rod. So this is the mechanism of a reciprocating engine. Okay, where the reciprocating motion is being converted into rotary motion of the crank. So the reciprocating motion is the input and the output is the rotary motion. Now if the input is that we rotate the crank, we rotate this crank by means of a motor, and the output is the reciprocating motion of this piston, then that is the reciprocating compressor. Where the input is the rotary motion and output is the reciprocating motion. Now we will see the second inversion. The second inversion is the oscillating cylinder mechanism. So what we do over here is that you can see in the figure that I have fixed the another link, that is the connecting rod, the link 3. In the earlier inversion we have fixed link 4 of the cylinder, but here we have fixed the connecting rod, the link 3, and this the link 2, this is the crank. It will rotate about this joint, and this is the link 1. This is the piston rod, not the connecting rod. This piston rod is connected to the piston, it's welded to the piston, and it will move together along with the piston. The cylinder is the link 4. It is also free to move. So this is an arrangement of an oscillating cylinder engine which is used to convert the reciprocating motion of this cylinder, this piston and the cylinder, into the rotatory motion of the crank. So in this link, the link 3, which forms the turning pair, the link 3 is fixed, and the link 3 corresponds to the connecting rod of the reciprocating steam engine. So this connecting rod is fixed, and when the crank rotates, the piston attached to the piston rod reciprocates, and the cylinder, it oscillates about the pin pivoted to the fixed link. So the piston also oscillates. So this example of the oscillating cylinder mechanism, we can see the example is foot pump. Okay, with the help of which we inflate the tires of bicycles and also football. Okay, so this foot pump is an example of an oscillating cylinder mechanism. Okay, so the fourth inversion we will see, the third inversion, which is the crank and slotted lever quick return mechanism. So in this inversion, as you can see in this inversion, there is this link. So this third link, it is fixed, and this link actually corresponds to the connecting rod. Okay, so the connecting rod of the link 3 is fixed, and this is the crank, okay, which can rotate, and it is connected to a piston. So this piston can cover reciprocating motion inside this slotted bar. So this piston can move inside this slotted bar. It can go from here, from this end to the other end, and this bar is in turn is being connected to the ram. Okay, so this slotted bar can go from this end to this end. When this piston which moves to this end, then the slotted bar go to this end P1, and again when this piston moves from here to here, piston moves, the crankshaft moves in this clockwise direction. This slotted bar again comes to this position. When the crankshaft moves to this position, this CB2, and so these are the positional extremes of this slotted bar. So in the extreme positions AP1 and AP2, are tangential to the surface and the cutting tool is at the end of the stroke. This cutting tool is at the end of the stroke. When this position is at AP1 and AP2. When at AP1, then the ram is at this one R1, and when it is at P2, then the ram is at R2. Now the forward of the cutting stroke occurs when the crank rotates from CB1 to CB2. The return stroke occurs when the crank rotates from CB2 to CB1. And the crank has the uniform angular speed. Okay, so this cutting tool cuts only during the forward stroke. So this is a crank and slotted lever quick return mechanism. This mechanism is mostly used in shaping machines, slotting machines, and in rotary IC engines. Okay, so this is the third inversion. This is the crank and slotted lever quick return mechanism. So now we will do the last inversion, which is the rotary IC engine. Okay, in this inversion, you can see the figure of a rotary IC engine over here. In this inversion, what we do is that we fix the crank. We fixed the crank or the link 2. So in this inversion, we fixed the crank. And so see, this is the schematic diagram of the rotary internal combustion engine, the rotary IC engine. And here you can see that the crank is fixed, the link 2, that is, the crank is fixed, and it consists of 7 cylinders. As you can see, it consists of 7 cylinders in total in one plane, and all revolves around the fixed center D. All revolves around the fixed center D. In this mechanism, when the connecting rod or the link 4, it rotates. This is the connecting rod. These are all connecting rods. So when the connecting rod rotates, the piston reciprocates inside the cylinder. So this piston reciprocates inside the cylinder. So rotary motion is converted into a reciprocating motion. So this is all about the inversion of mechanism. So I will complete the lesson for today. Okay, thank you.